Hello fellow mathematicians. Today I'm going to teach you how to solve story problems using proportions. Okay? So we're going to be solving story problems and we're going to be using proportions. Okay, as you can see, I've already written some stuff down here in red. So you may want to pause the video right now and get this red information copied down on your notes. Once you've done that, then restart the video. Alright, so the steps. Step number 1, you have to read the problem, and you may have to read it multiple times. Step 2, find the question. What are you being asked? Once you find the question, use that to define your variable. Your variable is going to stand for whatever the question was. Certainly you have to look for important information, maybe underline important information. And step 4, this is new, you're going to write a proportion. Okay? You're going to write a proportion. And remember, a proportion is two equal ratios. Step 5, you're going to solve the proportion, and I think the best way to solve a proportion is to cross multiply. And then finally, answer the question. Be sure to include units of measure. Alright, let's go through some examples. Let's start with example number 1. Carl works 8 hours and earns $52. How many hours would he work to earn $130? Okay, so Carl works 8 hours and earns $52. That's important, and that all goes together. He has to work 8 hours to earn $52. That's one important chunk of information. How many hours? That sounds like a question. How many hours would he have to work to earn $130? Okay, here we go. How many hours? That's the question. So I'll use X, and X has to stand for hours. That's my variable. Now, I need to write a proportion. This information all goes together, so that's going to make my first ratio. 8 hours it takes to make $52. Now, once I've written that first ratio, that tells me how to set up the second ratio. I have to stay consistent. Since I put hours in the numerator here, I have to match that. Hours has to be on the top over here. And since dollars is in the denominator, it has to match over here. So over here, I also have to have hours and dollars. To be a proportion, the units need to match. Hours, hours, dollars, dollars. Okay, now, fill in. Well, this has to be hours. I don't know how many hours, so now I use X. I don't know how many hours it's going to take to make $130. Alright? So I know it takes 8 hours for $52. I don't know how many hours for $130. Alright, that's the tough part, the proportion. The next steps should be fairly easy. You cross multiply. Cross multiply. And I always like to start with the variable. So I'm going to start with 52 times x. 52 times x is 52x. And set that equal to the other cross product. 8 times 130. 8 times 130 is 1040. And now just keep solving. Since 52 is next to x, that means times, and the opposite of multiplication is division. So divide both sides by 52. Divide both sides by 52. And you get x equals 20. And then you look back, what did x stand for? X stood for hours. So Carl must need to work 20 hours. All right, let's try number 3. A post office sells first-class stamps and postcard stamps. All right, so there's 2 different kinds of stamps, first-class stamps and postcard stamps. For the year, the post office sold 7 first-class stamps for every 2 postcard stamps. That's important. So, and that all goes together. It's in one sentence and it goes together. The post office sold 46,260 stamps altogether. How many of them were first class? Okay, there's the question. How many of them were first class? Okay, I'll use X for first class stamps. I don't know how many first class stamps are. How did I know that's my variable? Because that's the question. The question matches with the variable. All right, this is important right here. This is important, and it goes together. So here we go. There are 7 first class stamps for every 2 postcard stamps. Okay, that's my ratio, and that establishes my pattern. Since I have first in the numerator, post in the denominator, I have to do the identical thing over here. First and post, and it has to match. First, first, post, post. Okay, now fill in your numbers. Well, I don't know how many first class, so that's going to be X. And it's tempting to put this number here. Wait, that's 46,260 stamps, all kinds of, both, all together. Uh-oh, I made a mistake. So I have to erase post, and I have to put in, so this is a mistake, and I have to change it to 46,260 total stamps, which means I made a mistake over here too, because it has to match. First, first, I thought it was going to be post stamps, but this number here is a total. So since this says first, first, and this says total, this has to over here say total. I didn't know that at first, so I had to change it. I started with first, first, post, post, but this post had to change to total because that's what that number represents. And since this changed to total, I had to go back and make this total. What number is going to go here? Well, total it. Total means add all together. What's 7 plus 2? 9. All right, there's my proportion. Now, the easy part, cross multiply. So I like to start with the variable. 9 times x is 9x. Then do the other cross product. Whoa, 7 times 46,260 is 323,820. And now finish up. The opposite of multiply is divide. So divide both sides by 9. And you will get 35,980. And what did X stand for? X stood for first class. So here's X. That must be first class stamps. Alright, so that one was a little trickier, because originally we thought it was first, first, post, post. This number was not post stamps. This number was total, so we had to make, instead of post, we had to make it total, which means this side then had to change to total because it has to match. And where did the 9 come from? 7 plus 2 is 9. Alright, this is part 1. And once you're finished with this, you can then watch part 2.